There is a doorway you cross every single night. You pass through it quietly, unconsciously, without question, and behind it, a mystery unfolds, so vast, so ancient, that even the most advanced sciences dare only to speculate. It is the mystery of what happens to you, not just your body, but the essence of your being when you fall asleep. We often imagine sleep as a time when the body simply shuts down to recharge. But what if that's just the surface of something far deeper? What if each night, while your physical form lies still, another part of you detaches, drifts and travels? Cultures long forgotten did not treat sleep as a mere biological process. To the Tibetan monks, to the ancient Egyptians, to the mystics who whispered truths by candlelight, sleep was a sacred rehearsal, a return to the realms beyond the veil, where the soul remembers what the waking world forces us to forget. In these hidden hours, behind the soft curtain of dreams, you experience things that defy logic. Time bends, people long dead speak, cities arise that don't exist in this world, and symbols emerge that seem to speak directly to your soul. You call them dreams, but what if they're not products of imagination? What if they are echoes of where your consciousness actually goes? There is a reason that sleep feels so absolute. It isn't just rest, it's a letting go. Slipping out of the known and into a terrain we are trained not to see. This terrain has laws, different ones. It has inhabitants, guides, watchers. It has doorways and thresholds and dangers. And above all, it has meaning, deep, spiritual, meaning that your conscious mind cannot always grasp, but your deeper self never forgets. Modern science, for all its brilliance, rarely speaks in terms of the soul, but even it has begun to notice the strange. The pineal gland, the sudden bursts of DMT during REM sleep, the measurable brain activity that mimics near-death experiences, all suggest that something far more profound may be happening behind closed eyelids, and so we must ask what really happens to us during sleep. Where do we go when the body is no longer in command? Who or what do we become when the physical senses fade and the dream takes over? This video is not just about dreams. It is about the hidden truth behind sleep itself, a truth whispered in ancient texts, seen in recurring visions and buried beneath layers of cultural amnesia. You are about to remember something your soul has always known. Sleep is not escape. Sleep is return. To understand what truly unfolds during sleep, we must first unlearn what we've been told. The modern narrative treats sleep as a necessary but mindless function, a way for the brain to catalog memories, the body to repair itself, and the mind to temporarily disconnect from the world. But esoteric traditions, long before EEG machines and circadian charts, spoke of sleep in terms of initiation, travel, and return. They saw it as a threshold, a liminal zone where the conscious mind surrenders and a deeper self emerges. One of the most recurring themes across these traditions is the idea that consciousness is not confined to the brain. Rather, the brain is merely a receiver, a biological interface tuned to a certain frequency. When we sleep, this interface powers down, and the true signal, our non-local consciousness, is freed from the static of waking life, freed from sensory input, cultural programming, and identity constructs. It returns to a more expansive realm. This realm has many names: the astral plane, the dream time, the underworld, the invisible landscape. But across cultures, its characteristics are eerily similar. It is a place where thought shapes form, where time loses structure, and where one's emotional or spiritual state determines the quality of the experience. In Tibetan Buddhism, these layers are referred to as bardos, states of existence we pass through after death, but also during sleep. In ancient Egyptian belief, the Bay, the soul bird, would leave the body each night and report to the higher realms, only to return at dawn. The Greeks imagined Hypnos and Thanatos, sleep and death, as twin brothers. Different names, same pattern. The presence of DMT, the so-called spirit molecule, within the human brain adds another layer to this unfolding mystery. Secreted in small amounts by the pineal gland, an organ long associated with the third eye, DMT may surge during REM sleep. This chemical is known to dissolve ego boundaries and open portals to radiant, hyper-real experiences that mirror those reported in deep meditative states and near-death encounters. The overlap is not accidental. It suggests that every night, your brain facilitates a chemical alchemy that allows your consciousness to slip into another dimension. And within that dimension, symbols speak louder than language. You may find yourself in a city made of light, or speaking with someone who passed decades ago, or facing a being cloaked in shadow. Each of these is not random. The dream world functions more like a mirror, one that reflects not just your current self, but your karmic echoes, your fears, your aspirations, and sometimes your destiny. The symbols aren't there to confuse you. They're part of a universal grammar, one that speaks directly to the soul. But perhaps most importantly, this dream realm does not exist solely for passive observation. It is dynamic, interactive, and if one is trained, malleable. In other words, it can be navigated. Lucid dreaming, dream yoga, and astral projection are not fringe concepts in this context. They are tools, maps handed down through forgotten lineages, to help you reclaim agency in the world behind the veil. And so the core truth begins to emerge. Sleep is not a void. It is a terrain, a sacred passageway where consciousness reclaims its original language, where the illusion of separation fades, and where the self is reminded that it was never bound by the body to begin with. In many ancient traditions, truth was never spoken plainly. It was encoded in symbols, myths, and stories, fragments of deeper knowledge waiting for the right moment to awaken within the listener. And nowhere are these symbols more potent than in the dream realm, where logic dissolves and archetypes rise to the surface like islands emerging from mist. Consider the common dream of falling. To the untrained mind, it is a jolt of fear, a reflex of the nervous system. But symbolically, falling is a surrender, a descent from control into mystery. In many initiation rites, the initiate must descend into the underworld or face the abyss before returning transformed. The fall in a dream mirrors the spiritual act of release, letting go of the waking ego to meet the unknown self. Then there is the recurring motif of the labyrinth, a twisting, shadowed space where one wanders without direction. These dreams often reflect the soul's confrontation with its own confusion, a sacred space where clarity is born only through getting lost. In ancient Greece, the labyrinth was where Theseus met the Minotaur, half man, half beast. Symbolically, the Minotaur is the shadow self, the repressed, denied part of us that we must face and understand if we are to evolve. Many dreamers report flying, soaring above cities, gliding through mountains, weightless and free. These are not random fantasies. They are symbolic echoes of liberation, of the soul remembering its true nature. In Gnostic texts, the soul is often described as a radiant spark, trapped in a dense world. To fly in dreams is to remember, if only for a moment, that this density is not the limit, that we are capable of more than we were taught to believe. And what of the dream where a deceased loved one returns, not as memory but as presence? These encounters often feel more real than waking life. In esoteric understanding, this is not mere nostalgia. It is communion. When the veils are thinnest during sleep, the soul may cross into spaces where time and death lose their grip. What appears as a dream may in truth be a meeting of spirits beyond the boundary of form. Even nightmares hold profound teachings. The monstrous figure chasing you, the room that closes in, the voice that cannot be heard, these are not threats. They are messages. The shadow chases you not to harm you but to be acknowledged. The room closes in to show you where you feel trapped in life. The silence of the voice reveals your own unheard truths. In the dream world, every terror is a teacher wearing a mask. Symbolism in dreams does not operate by accident. It follows ancient rhythms, timeless scripts encoded in the collective psyche. Carl Jung called these archetypes, universal characters and patterns that live in all of us. They surface in sleep to guide, to challenge, to awaken. And just as the alchemist saw gold not in the metal but in the transformation of the self, the dreamer begins to see that each symbol is a step on the path back to wholeness. If the dream world is more than illusion, if it is in fact a spiritual terrain where the deeper self walks while the body rests, then it follows that what happens there matters, not just as an experience, but as a kind of dialogue with the soul. The question then is not whether these nocturnal journeys occur, but whether we are listening to them when they do. Modern life encourages fragmentation. We divide sleep from waking, dreams from logic, spirit from matter. Yet the ancients saw no such borders. They treated dreams as part of daily life, as natural as breath or hunger. To them, it was absurd to wake from a dream and ignore it, as though one would wake from a sacred ceremony and immediately forget the ritual. The implications of this view are profound. Our nights are not pauses in our existence, but chapters in a larger story we are always writing. One of the first steps in reclaiming this truth is remembering, not just intellectually but experientially. When you wake in the morning, what do you do with what you saw? Most people brush it aside as though it was static noise, but what if you kept a journal by your bed, not to analyze, but to witness? The very act of writing down a dream is a declaration. I'm listening. Over time, patterns emerge, places you've never seen repeat, symbols resurface, emotions linger longer than they should. And slowly the dream world begins to reveal its structure. Lucid dreaming is another key. When you become aware within the dream that you are dreaming, a doorway opens, not only to explore freely, but to interact with the very fabric of that world. In this state, you can ask questions and receive answers. You can face fears and dissolve them. You can meet aspects of yourself that never appear in daylight. More than anything, you begin to witness that consciousness is not something you have, but something you are, and that it is not confined to the body or the waking world. These nightly journeys also have a strange way of preparing us. Ancient cultures believed that sleep trained the soul for death, that in becoming conscious during dreams, we learned how to remain conscious during the transition from life. Whether you believe in reincarnation or not, this idea carries practical depth. By becoming aware of what lies beneath the surface of life, you live with greater presence, greater humility, and greater curiosity. And even beyond the spiritual, the psychological benefits are undeniable. People who actively engage with their dreams tend to have more emotional resilience, more creative insight, and a stronger sense of inner guidance. It is as if the dream world offers not only reflection, but restoration, a recalibration of the soul after a day spent navigating illusion. So what does this mean for your everyday life? It means that sleep is not the end of your day. It's the continuation of your evolution. That rest is not withdrawal, it is return. That what you call a dream may be a message, a memory, a moment from another life or dimension waiting for you to notice. And that within the quiet, dark hours of night you are never truly still. You are traveling, learning, remembering. Every night you disappear. You close your eyes, surrender control, and vanish from this world. And every morning you return, often unaware of where you've been, what you've seen, or who you were in the vast hours between sunset and dawn. But now perhaps you'll begin to see the night differently, not as a pause but as a pilgrimage, not as escape but as exploration. You are not passive in sleep. You are a traveler in a landscape your waking mind has been trained to forget. This hidden truth, long buried beneath materialist paradigms and cultural noise, is beginning to surface once again. The mystics knew it, the shamans walked it, the scriptures whispered it, and deep within you've always felt it, that your dreams are more than stories, that your sleep is more than silence, that your soul is not confined to a body, and your life is not limited to the daylight hours. To remember your dreams is to remember yourself, not just the you of today, shaped by name, job, and circumstance, but the you beyond all roles, the one who existed before this life began and who will continue when this life ends. Within that dream space, you meet echoes of that eternal self. You receive messages not meant for your ears, but for your essence. And sometimes you glimpse worlds so real, so intricate, that waking life begins to feel like the illusion. But awakening is not a sudden event. It is a practice. It begins by honoring what your modern mind was taught to discard, by pausing in the morning and asking, what did I just experience? What am I meant to carry back from there? It grows stronger with each step into awareness, through dream journaling, through lucid exploration, through silent reflection before sleep, through trusting that what feels symbolic is actually sacred. The forbidden teaching is not that sleep is a portal. That has always been known. The forbidden teaching is that you have the power to walk through it consciously and return changed. And in that change lies your real evolution. Because once you begin to live with awareness of what happens in the hidden hours, You begin to live all your hours differently. You become more rooted, more open, more aligned with the deeper rhythms that guide not only your soul, but the universe itself. So tonight, when the world grows quiet and your breath deepens, don't fall asleep, enter. Step through the veil with the reverence of one who remembers, and when you return, carry with you not just the echo of a dream, but the imprint of truth. And if this journey spoke to something deep within you, if a part of your soul stirred, as the veil was lifted, then let this be just the beginning. Subscribe to the channel and stay close, because each video is a map, each teaching a thread, and together we are remembering what was never truly lost. You are not just sleeping. You are remembering. You are awakening.